another episode of Beards and Board Games with me, Georgie. Today I'm going to be reviewing and teaching you how to play the infamous Pandemic by Matt Leacock, the 2 to 4 player cooperative game about saving the world from disease and infection. Essentially it's like Dustin Hoffman's Outbreak but in a board game. Really intense and quite a lot of mathematical strategy going on to it. But without further ado, I think I should just teach you how to play Pandemic. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is decide which character you want to be. Now these characters range from scientist to operations expert, and each of them has their own special ability. You take your own character, having a look at what special ability you want as well, obviously, and the given profession, and take the matching pawn token. You will also get 6 research stations in the box. At the start you want to take one of them and put it in Atlanta. This is your starting location. You also want to set the outbreak marker to 0, and the infection marker on the infection track at the lowest number. Then shuffle the player deck and deal 4 cards to each player in a 2-player game. In a 3-player game and a 4-player game, the number of cards you get would be 1 less each. So in a 3-player game you get 3 cards, and in a 4-player game you get 2 cards each at the start. Then you would add the epidemic cards to this stack. You would separate the stack depending on how many epidemic cards you're adding into the game. This is what the epidemic card looks like. It's also good just to put the disease markers above the correct coloured disease, just to make sure that when you've cured it, you can cover it over here, and when you eradicate it, you can cover it there. Now the aim of the game is to cure all 4 diseases. You don't have to eradicate all 4 diseases, just need to cure all 4 diseases. That's the aim of the game. Okay, we're almost finished setting up, but one of the last things we need to do is draw 3 cards from here, and the first 3 that we're drawing gets 3 of the corresponding coloured cubes to the corresponding card, to the corresponding name that's on the card to the city on the map. Then the next 3 we'd have 2 cubes. The next 3 after that, 1 cube. Then we're ready to play. Okay, so now we're ready to play Pandemic, and when you play, it's a fairly simple game. So the first thing you would do is each player gets to take 4 actions. Your actions consist of moving your pawn from one city to another that's connected by a white line. You can discard a city card, which are these cards here, that matches the city you're in to move to any city, or you can take a shuttle flight which move from the city with a research station to any other city that has a research station. Or you can also take a direct flight, which is discard a card and move to the city which is named on that card. So that's the movement actions that you can take. Any one of those costs 1 action point out of the 4 action points you have. You may also build a research station. That also counts as 1 action. To do that, you must discard a city card that matches the city you're in to build this research station. You can also treat disease. So for example, this would take 1 action to move here and 1 action to treat this disease. If there were multiple cubes there, you could use multiple actions to clear them both. For example, 2 cubes, 2 actions. You can also cure a disease, which is also your main aim of the game. To do this, standardly you have to go in and discard 5 cards of the matching colour, so this would be 4 blue cards, when you're in a research station. Also discarding the cards counts as 1 action. Once that's done, you may cure the disease. One of the last actions you can do on your turn is share knowledge. To do that, you must be in the same city as the other player, and you can take that city card. This is Milan, where we are, and you can take that from the other player, obviously with their permission, or you can move into there and give that card to the other player. Either way, it has to be the same city that you're in. Okay, once you've completed your 4 actions, you draw 2 cards. If drawn an epidemic card, follow the instructions on that card. Move the infection marker forward 1 space. The infection marker dictates how many cards you draw when you get to the infect city stage on your turn, which you haven't even got to yet. Draw the bottom card from the infection deck, flip it upside down, and put 3 of the corresponding colour into that city. In this instance, 3 yellow cubes go to Lima. This is also a bad thing, because if you run out of cubes of any colour, this is another way that this cooperative game will end the game and win. Like many co-ops, there's many ways that the game can beat you, but only one way that you can beat the game. The next step is called Intensify. Take the cards that you've already drawn, shuffle them, Whoop. And put them on top of the infection deck, meaning those cards are going to be the first ones to come out, which means you want to really, really, really cure all these cities that are already infected before outbreaks will happen. What is an outbreak, I hear you say? An outbreak is when you draw a card when a city already has 3 disease cubes of the matching colour in there. So, for instance, if you drew Johannesburg again, you wouldn't put a 4th yellow cube in here. However, that would cause an outbreak, which means you would put a yellow cube here and here. So all the connecting cities. That would correspond as well with, if this outbreaked, you would put a yellow cube even in the black cities. And that's right, because an outbreak's happened, you must move this outbreak marker down to 1. A city can only outbreak once on the same turn, so it can't outbreak back and forth. However, a city can outbreak and cause another city to outbreak and another city to outbreak, which means the marker can move down multiple times on one turn. If the marker gets to 8 outbreaks, that's another way the game will win. The last way the game will win is if you go to draw more cards and there's none left. And the final step is to infect cities. You infect cities by drawing the number of cards dictated by the infection rate. You'll see every time you get an epidemic card, as I said, this goes up. 2s, 3s and eventually 4s. Right now we're on 2. So this just dictates the number of cards that is drawn. Every city that is infected in the infect city step only ever gains 1 infection cube. The cube colour is dictated by the city that is on the card. So for this instance, 1 black cube would go in Delhi, and 1 blue cube would go in New York. Okay, that's pretty much everything in Pandemic, apart from one other thing. Eradication. To eradicate a disease is not any closer to winning the game. However, it does make it easier, because if a disease is eradicated, see this one here with the cross symbol on it, no more red cubes will be added to the board. But to eradicate a disease, you must have cured it and cleared every cube off the board, which is a lot harder than it sounds. So guys, that's how you play Pandemic. So, what is my overall thoughts? What's my review and my opinion on Pandemic? Honestly, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a brilliant, cooperative, real heavy thinking, talkative game between the group, working together, deciding what the best strategy is depending on what cards you've got in your hands. Do you want to share knowledge? Do you want to take a direct flight? How do you get there? What do you want to solve? Is another epidemic card going to come out? It's just so much to think about, and without being too heavy that you can't involve a lot of the family. I mean, obviously maybe extremely younger kids you're not going to be able to involve, but certainly anyone from the age of maybe 8 to 10 are definitely probably going to be able to pick this game up. Super fun cooperative game, and that's my opinion of Pandemic. Very rarely do I ever find things, or most people do ever find things completely seamless, but Pandemic as a cooperative game is probably about as close as you can get to it, and Matt Leacock has done a brilliant job with this game. That is my review of Pandemic. That is how you play Pandemic. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Beards and Board Games with me, Georgie. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Catch you guys later. This episode was sponsored by GamesLore, the UK's largest specialist games retailer, which can be found at gameslore.com.